Alright guys, welcome back to the channel. Let's talk about my Toyota Supra. Let's talk about why I bought an automatic Supra versus a manual. I've had that question a lot. Well, Austin, how come
Joe swear to you but not me? How come it's him but not me?
How come you didn't buy a manual? And I'm gonna share that with you guys, and I'm gonna walk you through that process. So let's jump into it. Hopefully give you guys a little POV driving. Hopefully you guys can hear me okay. Got the Supra in sport mode, and just gonna go for a little drive and gonna talk through why I made the choices that I made. So when it came to the Supra, all of you know that I've wanted a Supra. I love the looks of these cars and I think they're amazing. And I was on the wait list here in Utah. I was the second on a wait list at a dealership that would have given me a manual Supra at sticker. And I had that in writing, I had it guaranteed and everything. Now, I was on that wait list, I waited for a couple months, and what happened is I took my loss on my 3000 GT. And that altered a lot of stuff for me. That's when I sold the Camaro, that's when I just drove the RX-8 for a few months, and I just, let me throw these on auto. And I just didn't want to have to worry about spending all that money, so I canceled my deposit. So first and foremost, that was a deciding factor, because the manual transmission, they originally weren't going to do an upcharge for it, but when you really look at the fine print and the details, and I'll throw the exact amount up on the screen for you guys, but essentially it was a $2,500-ish option when it came down to it. And when I got this Supra, it was before they did their previous price increase on it, and then they increased it again with the 2023s. So at the end of the day, I was in a spot where even if I got the car at sticker and I wanted just the base model, I didn't care to have the premium, and I'll talk about why I made that choice in another video, but I had just wanted to get basically a base. I wanted the 3.0, I wanted the straight 6, I wanted a Supra. I didn't care about all the other technology in the car, and I was okay with that. And so really, price of losing my 3000 GT drove it. Price increase on the manual Supra also drove it. And another thing that weighed into it, if you guys have been following my channel for a minute, I've always had manual transmissions in my cars. And I love manuals, and I prefer manual transmissions. So when it came down to getting an automatic, another factor that decided into this was a race that I did in my Toyota Supra. And sorry, I hate when my windshield wipers are just on constantly. But so something that kind of altered things for me is when I raced my Camaro against a Jaguar, and I'll throw some screenshots up for you guys of that. But guys, manual transmission cars, you're not going to win races on, and it kind of hit my ego a little bit, hit my pride, hit me down in my plums, hit me in my sweet spot, and I didn't like losing it. And so I have other manual transmission cars. I have the RSX, I have the RX-8, and I love those cars, and I get my fix on with having those available. So I can shift my cars when I want. But when it came down to an automatic, losing my 3000 GT for a lot of money, the price increase on the Supras, which with taxes, even MSRP, even for the base trim model, I would have been pushing close to $60,000. And at $60,000, as much as I love the Supra, I'm gonna go spend $63,000 or $64,000 and get a manual ZL1. I just would. But I've wanted a Supra. It's been a car that I've wanted to kind of drive. But when I lost that race on my Camaro against the Jaguar, it really made me think, you know what, I really would like an automatic. But I just didn't want just any automatic. When you look at the Supra and the ZF 8-speed that's in it, this car is just, it is so responsive with that automatic transmission. I mean, it is amazing how fast this car shifts. Obviously I'm in sport mode. You know, if I just shift it over to normal mode, it will just constantly hunt and find all of the gears, and it is just crazy just how good this car will shift. It'll just always find the right gear, and it is a very fun, engaging automatic to drive. The shifter, as I've noted down here, it really has a feel to it like a manual transmission. It's not a big bulky shifter like if you look in the Chargers or some of the other cars where it's like this handle that you crank back. Like, this is like just really, okay, you want to downshift, great, let's downshift, let's party. And it will do that. It'll do that really well. So at the end of the day, I was overly impressed with these Supras. I even looked into getting the 2-liter Supra just because of how fast these cars are. BMW vastly underrates their horsepower, and they're just fun cars to drive. And so if I wanted an automatic, I wanted one, like down here on the paddle shifters, like if I come over here into sport mode, it won't let me go down into, the gear unless it's ready, which is great. And it'll stay in there. It won't shift it for me. It will stay in there. It'll stay in that gear. And so just the engagement from it has been fun. And also knowing that this car shifts as fast as it does, that I can compete really well against any car out there when it comes to any racing or anything that I do. Now you could argue, Austin, well, why didn't you just go get, the 10-speed in a Mustang or a Camaro? And I definitely could have. But at the time, I was able to get this car for a good deal. I was able to get the package that I wanted, and I was able to experience something different. Do I miss my Camaro? Sure, yeah, I miss my Camaro. I miss my Mustang, I miss my Challenger. There's things that I miss about all of it. But what I'm setting out to do is to really experience all the different platforms and to bring a unique perspective in owning all of them that I can share with you guys and share with you my thoughts and things that I see on these cars. And that to me is important. But this car, just how responsive it is with the turbo, with shifting, it is a dream, guys. And I don't long for the manual transmission in the Supra. I don't. I know it's going to be a hot seller. I know it's going to do really, really well. Another thing, and this will be my last point, and you guys might laugh at me on this. When I first saw the shift knob of the manual shifter in the Supra, I thought it looked like the dumbest shifter I've ever seen in a car. It looked cheap, it looked plasticky, it did not fit the theme of the car. And at the end of the day, I didn't like how it looked. And for $60,000, I feel this Supra, it's a rare car, it's a special car. My personal opinion on the Supra is they priced them just a touch too high. A touch too high. And with the manual, I didn't like the looks of it. And for me, with the manual transmission, they changed up the gearing in the manual Supra, so it was a lot more responsive. Coming from a V8 to a V6 and a manual, they would have had to done a lot of things to really make that car be overly impressive for me, because I had all of the displacement of a V8 when it came to a manual. I just wasn't sure how necessarily that would translate into the Supra. And as good as the transmission was in my Camaro, I had the Tremec and the Challenger, and it was good. My Mustang, you guys know, that wasn't good. And the Tremec and the Camaro was it was perfection. It was so good. And just having that fear of it not being as good. Now, I've heard it's really good, and they've revamped it, and the people are raving about the manual transmission. Just for me at the time, given price, given the economy, given things, I wanted a little bit faster car, a little bit more nimble of a car. That is why I went with an automatic over a manual. Now, do I regret the decision that I made? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. When it comes to automatic versus manual, this car has scratched a big enough itch for me, and having my manual cars at home when I want to roll my own gears and shift, I am okay with it. And I just wanted to bring you guys my perspective, because I've gotten asked that question a lot. Austin, why didn't you buy a manual Supra? I was in line for it, guys. I would have. If things wouldn't have happened on the 3000 GT, I probably would have done it, but I lost some money. I had to get some money back. I lost $13,000 on that car. I made some financial decisions, and I got monetized on Instagram, and I ended up making more money, and then it all worked out. But when it comes to transmission versus transmission, the auto in this car is so good that I won't be replacing this with a manual. And given where price is at and the market's at, even if I can get it for sticker with tax, everything out the door, even for a base model, I don't care to be just right under 60 or just over 60,000. I just don't. So that's the decision that I made. I'm sticking to it. I like it. Thank you guys for watching. Woo! We will catch you guys on the next video. Peace.